is bringing you the most hope for our future as it relates to mental health and happiness?
The thing that gives me hope is that everybody climbs invisible mountains, and we don't talk about them, but we can.
The thing which gives me the maximum hope is not the involvement of professionals, it's the involvement of people themselves. The second hope that I have is from technological advances. We know that a lot of people now have access to technology. The number of mobile phones in this world is now almost approaching the number of people in this world. And those are the issues which can actually help us to provide care for people who do not have any.
So when we talk about future health and when we talk about the hopes that we have for the day to come, what we think we need to do is to move from the concept of one size fits all towards an approach which will be precision medicine.
You know, sometimes in life, in our work, we can see a tipping point. And I feel like we can see it now, meaning the culture is beginning to change. Lots of things are happening. Lots of people who are influencers are stepping up, sharing their own story.
Community online can be anything you want it to be. It can help you lead a more rewarding and mindful life, but it also can help save a life during times of emotional distress.
I'm gonna say it's twofold. One, it's that we're having these conversations. And two, that these skills of happiness are trainable.
Our principal focus is the science. So I think we've never had better science. When Brandon got sick in 1990, we were probably at a 0 or maybe a -2. I think maybe we're up at a 3, so we're making progress.
So what makes me most hopeful is that there is a real opportunity for a broader social cultural transformation, because I truly believe that to mainstream mental health, we have to break out of sort of thinking from just systems and sectors, and it has to something that needs to cascade at the level of, people and communities and societies.
I feel a real sea change. Thrive started, our initial ambition was to write a report, lay out a vision of a public health approach to mental health. When the First Lady announced that, she was asking the health department to do that, the pull we got, we didn't have to push this. We were pulled.
I'm most hopeful at this point because there's been so much interest in hope. I think there's an unprecedented amount of international discussion about mental health. It's found its way into the budgets. It's found its way into the Sustainable Development Goals. It really is quite a unique time in the overall thinking about health in general and mental health in particular.
What brings me a lot of hope is this interest in looking at treating populations before there is the onset of significant distress. And so this focus on, working with younger children on prevention-focused programs and interventions.
And we are seeing the things that change stigma happen, which is celebrity leadership engagement, talking more on the biology of the body, getting the press talking more the positive, the solutions, and what you're doing with the World Happiness Agora, which is bringing mental health more mainstream.
So I see many, many signs now of a real momentum building up. At last, a real momentum building to actively promote movement, action to change global mental health.
We should be happy that our doctors can look after us. And more importantly, we have a family. Mental health is a global family that belongs to a global family. We don't need to hide any longer.
I'm excited about some of the difficult problems like helping with autism and Asperger's, helping with addictions, helping with depression. I think we have some new tools to help with some very difficult problems that will have a big impact.
I found myself getting more and more hopeful in the last year or two because in no small part of these technological, scalable solutions that are complementing our incredible mental health professionals out there.
I love the tweens and teens, and I love their resilience, and I love the way they use few words and Instagram posts to feel the world as it is, to be vulnerable to the world as it is, to find voice, to turn to one another, and to have the courage to cry out how they're feeling and what they're wanting and how they're showing up. I have hope in my children and each other's children, and that's where I'm investing right now.
We must consider mental health care a right, not a charity, not something we're doing as a favor to you, but as a fundamental right for humanity. Ultimately, we need to reframe mental health as a global public good.
A complete shift between, how can I say, professionals and people with lived experience. We now be equal. And I think now that we're equal, we can get so much more done. We can move forward, finally.
What I'm most hopeful about is I'm a mom of two young people, and I engage with young people every day in my community. And to be raising them in a world where stigma is hopefully not going to be here anymore, where there is a narrative, there are words that young people can say to talk about their mental health and well-being. I feel inspired by the next generation.
I think there's three things that inspire me most about the state of the world today. One is that our collective future, not just around mental health, but all sustainable development in every social issue has been completely undermined by a neglect of mental health. And everybody is waking up to that fact. And we're not going to address violence or gender issues or LGBTQ issues or climate change if people can't make healthy decisions for themselves, for their families, for their peers, and have a self-awareness of what the highest self they can be means to them. And what that means for everybody. And I think we're moving into a space where we know whoever everybody is okay. And that sort of communal, humanistic love that will lead to global transformation on a scale that's way beyond mental health. Two is that I think young people see that intersectionality of things as social justice. And they're not gonna stop until we actually see that Black communities, marginalized communities, queer communities, and others finally have their voices and lived experiences at the front of the table in such a way that it's not tokenistic, it's not marginalized, and the powers that be have shifted to actually elevate those things. And I think the mental health movement can do that in ways that every other field hasn't. So I really think that we have a critical opportunity here to be the difference that everybody's been looking to see in the world, because everybody's been calling for it, but mental health can be that. And I truly believe that. And then lastly, it's about deep human connection and love. I have to end on that. And if we don't really start bringing those things into the academic conversations, into the political conversations, into the social spaces that we live, and know that mental health underpins all of that, I think we're in that trajectory. And so that's really exciting that the collective work of everybody is leading to that awakening of what will be different in the future.